Act 1 of the author's Farce by Henry Fielding. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Prologue spoken by Mr. Jones.
Too long the tragic muse has awed the stage, and frightened wives and children with her rage. Too long Dracaster roars, Parthenope weeps, while every lady cries, and critic sleeps. With ghosts, rapes, murders, tender hearts they wound, or else, like thunder, terrify with sound. When the skilled actress to her weeping eyes with artful sigh the handkerchief applies, how grieved each sympathizing nymph appears, and box and gallery both melt in tears. Or when in armour of Corinthian brass, heroic actor stares you in the face, and cries aloud with emphasis that's fit on liberty, freedom, liberty, and Britain, while frowning, gaping for applause he stands. What generous Briton can refuse his hands? Like the tame animals designed for show, you have your cues to clap, as they to bow. Taught to commend, your judgments have no share. By chance you guess aright, by chance you err. But handkerchiefs and Britain laid aside, tonight we mean to laugh and not to chide. In days of yore, when fools were held in fashion, though now, alas, all banished from the nation, a merry jester had reformed his lord. Who would have scorned the sterner Stoic's word? Bred in Democritus his laughing schools, our author slies set her Glaucus rules. No tears, no terror plead in his behalf. The aim of farce is but to make you laugh. Beneath the tragic or the comic name, farces and puppet shows ne'er miss of fame. Since then, in borrowed dress, they've pleased the town. Condemn them not, appearing in their own. Smiles we expect from the good-natured few, as ye are done by, ye malicious, do. And kindly laugh at him who laughs at you.
Persons in the Farce.
Luckless, the author and master of the show. Read by Adrian Stevens.
Whitmore, his friend. Read by Greg Giordano.
Marplay Senior, Comedian. Read by Alan Mapstone.
Marplay Junior, Comedian. Read by Avai.
Bookweight, a bookseller. Read by Todd.
Scarecrow, a scribbler. Read by David Purdy.
Dash, a scribbler. Read by Joanna Michael Hoyt.
Quibble, a scribbler. Read by Grace Buchanan.
Blot Page, a scribbler. Read by Sandra.
Index, read by Andrew Gauntz.
Jack, servant to Luckless. Read by Jim Locke.
Jack Pudding, read by Thomas Peter.
Bantamite, read by Grace Buchanan.
Mrs. Moneywood, the author's landlady. Read by Sonia.
Harriet Moneywood, her daughter. Read by Devorah Allen.
Persons in the Puppet Show.
A Player, read by Alan Mapstone.
Constable, read by Jim Hedrick.
The Goddess of Nonsense, read by Kelly Taylor.
Sharon, read by Sandra Schmidt.
Curry, a bookseller. Read by Todd.
Poet, read by Sandra.
Signor Opera, read by Jake Milezia.
Don Tragedio, read by Joanna Michael Hoyt.
Sir Farcical Comic, read by Jim Hedrick.
Dr. Orator, read by Algie Pug.
Mrs. Novel, read by Avai.
Rawgrave, The Saxton, read by Hanna Ponomarenko.
Sailor, read by David Purdy.
Somebody, read by Joanna Michael Hoyt.
Nobody, read by Sonia.
Punch, read by Alan Mapstone.
Joan, read by Michelle Eaton.
Count Ugly, read by Andrew Gauntz.
Manager, read by Mark Kilkelly.
Mr. Cedo, musician, read by Todd.
Director, read by Thomas Peter.
Messenger, read by Rémi.
Sir John, read by Rob Marland.
First Poet, read by Thomas Peter.
Second Poet, read by David Purdy.
Third Poet, read by Joanna Michael Hoyt.
Fourth Poet, read by Todd.
Cat, read by Sonia.
Stage directions read by Larry Wilson. Act 1, Scene 1. Luckless's room in Mrs. Moneywood's house. Mrs. Moneywood, Harriet, Luckless.
Never tell me, Mr. Luckless, of your play and your play. I tell you, I must be paid. I would no more depend on a benefit night of an unacted play than I would on a benefit ticket in an undrawn lottery. Could I have guessed that I had a poet in my house? Could I have looked for a poet under laced clothes?
Why not? Since you may often find poverty under them, nay, they are commonly the signs of it, and therefore why may not a poet be seen in them, as well as a courtier?
Do you make a jest of my misfortune, sir?
Rather my misfortune. I'm sure I have a better title to poverty than you, for notwithstanding the handsome figure I make, unless you are so good to invite me, I'm afraid I shall scarce prevail on my stomach to dine to-day.
Oh, never fear that. You will never want a dinner till you have dined at all the eating-houses round. No one shuts their doors against you the first time, and I think you are so kind seldom to trouble them a second.
No, and if you will give me leave to walk out of your doors, the devil take me if I ever come into 'em again.
Pay me, sir, what you owe me, and walk away whenever you please.
With all my heart, madam. Get me a pen and ink, and I'll give you my note for it immediately.
Your note? Who will discount it? Not your bookseller, for he has as many of your notes as he has of your works, both good lasting wear, and which are never likely to go out of his shop and his scrutor.
Nay, but madam, 'tis barbarous to insult him in this manner.
No doubt you will take his part. Pray get you about your business. I suppose he intends to pay me by ruining you. Get you in this instant, and remember, if ever I see you with him again, I'll turn you out of doors.
Scene 2. Luckless, Mrs. Moneywood.
Discharge all your ill nature on me, madam, but spare poor Miss Harriet.
Oh, then it is plain. I have suspected your familiarity a long while. You are a base man. Is it not enough to stay 3 months in my house without paying me a farthing, but you must ruin my child?
I love her as my soul. Had I the world, I'd give it her all.
But as you happen to have nothing in the world, I desire you would have nothing to say to her. I suppose you would have settled all your castles in the air. Oh, I wished you had lived in one of them instead of my house. Well, I am resolved when you are gone away, which I heartily hope will be very soon, I'll hang over my door in great red letters, "No lodgings for poets." Sure never was such a guest as you have been. My floor is all spoiled with ink, my windows with verses, and my door has been almost beat down with duns.
Would your house had been beaten down, and everything but my dear Harriet crushed under it.
Sir, sir.
Madam, I will attack you at your own weapons. I will pay you in your own coin.
I wish you would pay me in any coin, sir.
Look ye, madam, I'll do as much as a reasonable woman can require. I'll show you all I have, and give you all I have too, if you please to accept it.
Turns his pockets inside out.
I will not be used in this manner. No, sir, I will be paid if there be any such thing as law.
By what law you will put money into my pocket, I know not, for I have never heard of anyone who got money by the law but the lawyers. I have told you already, and I tell you again, that the first money I get shall be yours, and I have great expectations from my play. In the meantime, your staying here can be of no service, and you may possibly drive some fine thoughts out of my head. I would write a love scene, and your daughter would be more proper company on that occasion than you.
You would act a love scene, I believe, but I shall prevent you, for I intend to dispose of myself before my daughter.
Dispose of yourself?
Yes, sir, dispose of myself. 'Tis very well known that I have had very good offers since my last dear husband died. I might have had an attorney of New Inn, or Mr. Philpot, the exciseman. Yes, I had my choice of 2 parsons, or a doctor of physic, and yet I slighted them all. Yes, I slighted them for you.
For me?
Yes, you have seen 2 visible marks of my passion, too visible for my reputation.
Sobbing.
I have heard very loud tokens of your passion, but I rather took it for the passion of anger than of love.
Oh, it was love indeed, nothing but love, upon my soul.
The devil! This way of dunning is worse than the other.
If thou canst not pay me in money, let me have it in love. If I break through the modesty of my sex, let my passion excuse it. I know the world will call it an impudent action, but if you will let me reserve all I have to myself, I will make myself yours forever.
Toll! Lol! Lol!
And this is the manner you receive my declaration, you poor beggarly fellow. You shall repent this. Remember, you shall repent it. Remember that. I'll show you the revenge of an injured woman.
I shall never repent anything that rids me of you, I am sure.
Scene 3. Luckless, Harriet.
Dear Harriet.
I have waited an opportunity to return to you.
Oh, my dear, I am so sick.
What's the matter?
Oh, your mother, your mother.
What? Has she been scolding ever since?
Worse, worse.
Heaven forbid she should threaten to go to law with you.
Oh, worse, worse. She threatens to go to church with me. She has made me a generous offer, that if I will but marry her, she will suffer me to settle all she has upon her.
Generous creature. Sure you will not resist the proposal?
What would you advise me to?
Oh, take her. Take her by all means. You will be the prettiest, finest, loveliest, sweetest couple. Ah, what a delicate dish of matrimony you will make. Her age with your youth, her avarice with your extravagance, and her scolding with your poetry.
Nay, but I am serious, and I desire you would be so. You know my unhappy circumstances, and your mother's wealth. It would be at least a prudent match.
Oh, extremely prudent. The world will say, Lord, who could have thought Mr. Luckless had had so much prudence? This one action will overbalance all the follies of your life.
Faith, I think it will. But, dear Harriet, how can I think of losing you forever? And yet, as our affairs stand, I see no possibility of our being happy together. It will be some pleasure, too, that I may have it in my power to serve you. Believe me, it is with the utmost reluctance I think of parting with you, for if it was in my power to have you—
Oh, I am very much obliged to you. I believe you. Yes, you need not swear, I believe you.
And can you as easily consult prudence and part with me? For I would not buy my own happiness at the price of yours.
I thank you, sir. Part with you? Intolerable vanity.
Then I am resolved, and so, my good landlady, have at you.
Stay, sir. Let me acquaint you with one thing. You are a villain. And don't think I'm vexed at anything, but that I should have been such a fool as ever to have had a good opinion of you.
Crying.
Ha! 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 Caught by Jupiter! And did my dear Harriet think me in earnest?
And was you not in earnest?
What, to part with thee? A pretty woman will be sooner in earnest to part with her beauty, or a great man with his power.
I wish I were assured of the sincerity of your love.
Heir, buttered peas.
Does my dearest Harriet ask what for love I would pursue? Would you, charmer, know what task I would undertake for you? Ask the bold ambitious what he for honours would achieve. Oh, the gay voluptuous, that which he'd not for pleasure give. Ask the miser what he'd do to amass excessive gain, or the saint what he'd pursue his wished heaven to obtain. These I would attempt, and more, for, oh, my Harriet is to me all ambition, pleasure, store, or what heaven itself can be.
Would my dearest Luckless know what his constant Harriet can, her tender love and faith to show for her dear, her only man? Ask the vain coquette what she for men's adoration would, or from censure to be free, ask the vile censorious prude. In a coach and six to ride, what the mercenary jade, or the widow to be bride to a brisk broad-shouldered blade. All these I would attempt for thee, could I but thy passion fix, thy will my sole commander be, and thy arms my coach and six.
Mrs. Moneywood within.
Harriet! Harriet!
Hear the dreadful summons. Adieu. I will take the first opportunity of seeing you again.
Adieu, my pretty charmer. Go thy ways for the first of thy sex.
Scene 4. Luckless, Jack.
So, what news bring you?
An it please your honour, I have been at my lord's, and his lordship thanks you for the favour you have offered of reading your play to him, but he has such a prodigious deal of business, he begs to be excused. I've been with Mr. Keeper, too. He made me no answer at all. Mr. Bookwaite will be here immediately.
Jack!
Sir?
Fetch my other hat hither. Carry it to the pawnbroker's.
To your honour's own pawnbroker?
Ay, and in thy way home call at the cook's shop. So one way or other I find, my head must always provide for my belly.
Scene 5. Luckless, Whitmore.
I am surprised, dear Whitmore.
Dear Harry.
This is kind indeed, but I do not more wonder at finding a man in this age who can be a friend to adversity than that fortune should be so much my friend as to direct you to me. for she is a lady I have not been much indebted to lately.
She who told me, I assure you, is one you have been indebted to a long while.
Whom do you mean?
One who complains of your unkindness in not visiting her, Mrs. Lovewood.
Dost thou visit there still, then?
I throw an idle hour away there sometimes. When I am in an ill humour, I am sure of feeding it there with a scandal in town. For no bawd is half so diligent in looking after girls with an uncracked maiden head as she in searching out women with cracked reputations.
The much more infamous office of the two.
Thou art still a favourer of the women, I find.
Ay, the women and the muses, the high roads to beggary.
What? Art thou not cured of scribbling yet?
No, scribbling is as impossible to cure as the gout.
And as sure a sign of poverty as the gout of riches. Sdeath, in an age of learning and true politeness, where a man might succeed by his merit, there would be some encouragement. But now, when party and prejudice carry all before them, when learning is decried, wit not understood, when the theatres are puppet shows, and the comedians ballad singers, when fools lead the town, would a man think to thrive by his wit? If you must write, write nonsense, write operas, write hurly-thrombos. Set up an oratory, and preach nonsense, and you may meet with encouragement enough. Be profane, be scurrilous, be immodest, if you would receive applause, deserve to receive sentence at the Old Bailey, and if you would ride in a coach, deserve to ride in a cart.
You are warm, my friend.
It is because I am your friend. I cannot bear to hear the man I love ridiculed by fools, by idiots, to hear a fellow who had been born a Chinese, had starved for want of genius, to have been even the lowest mechanic, toss up his empty noodle with an affected disdain of which he is not understood, and women abusing what they have neither seen nor read, from an unreasonable prejudice, to an honest fellow whom they have not known. If thou wilt write against all these reasons, get a patron, be pimp to some worthless man of quality. Write panegyrics on him. Flatter with him as many virtues as he has vices. Then perhaps you will engage his lordship. His lordship engages the town on your side. And then write till your arms ache. Sense or nonsense, it will all go down.
Thou art too satirical on mankind. It is possible to thrive in the world by justifiable means.
Ay, justifiable. And so they are justifiable by custom. What does the soldier or physician thrive by, but slaughter? The lawyer, but by quarrels. The courtier, but by taxes. The poet, but by flattery. I know none that thrive by profiting mankind, but the husbandman and the merchant. The one gives you the fruit of your soil, the other brings you those from abroad. And yet these are represented as mean and mechanical, and the others as honourable and glorious.
Well, but prithee leave railing, and tell me what you would advise me to do.
Do? Why, thou art a vigorous young fellow, and there are rich widows in town.
But I am already engaged.
Why don't you marry then? For I suppose you are not mad enough to have any engagement with a poor mistress.
Even so, faith, and so heartily that I would not change her for the widow of a Croesus.
Now thou art undone. Indeed, matrimony clenches ruin beyond retrieval. What unfortunate stars wert thou born under? Was it not enough to follow those 9 ragged jades, the Muses? But you must fasten on some earth-born mistress as poor as them?
Marplay Jr. within.
Order my chairman to call at me at St. James. No, let them stay.
Heyday! Whom the devil have we here?
The young captain, sir. No less person, I assure you.
Scene 6. Luckless, Whitmore, Marplay Jr.
Mr. Luckless, I kiss your hands. Sir, I am your most obedient, humble servant. You see, Mr. Luckless, what power you have over me. I attend your commands, though several persons of quality have stayed at court for me above this hour.
I am obliged to you. I have a tragedy for your house, Mr. Marplay.
Ha! If you will send it to me, I will give you my opinion of it, and if I can make any alterations in it that will be for its advantage, I will do it freely.
Alterations, sir?
Yes, sir, alterations. I will maintain it, let a play be never so good. Without alteration, it will do nothing.
Very odd indeed.
Did you ever write, sir?
No, sir, I thank heaven.
Oh, your humble servant, your very humble servant, sir. When you write yourself, you will find the necessity of alterations. Why, sir, would you guess that I had altered Shakespeare?
Yes, faith, sir, no one sooner.
Alack a day! Was you to see the plays when they are brought to us, a parcel of crude, undigested stuff? We are the persons, sir, who lick them into form, that mould them into shape. The poet make the play indeed. The colourman might be as well said to make the picture, or the weaver the coat. My father and I, sir, are a couple of poetical tailors. When a play is brought us, we consider it as a tailor does his coat. We cut it, sir, we cut it. And let me tell you, we have the exact measure of the town. We know how to fit their taste. The poets, between you and me, are a pack of ignorant—
Hold, sir. This is not quite so civil to Mr. Luckless. Besides, as I take it, you have done the town the honour of writing yourself.
Sir, you are a man of sense, and express yourself well. I did, as you say, once make a small sally into a Parnassus, took a sort of flying leap over Helicon, but if ever they catch me there again— Sir, the town have a prejudice to my family, for if any play could have made them ashamed to damn it, mine must. It was all over plot. It would have made 6 novels, nor was it crammed with a pack of wit-traps like Congreve and Wycherley, where everyone knows when the joke was coming. I defy the sharpest critic of 'em all to have known when any jokes of mine were coming. The dialogue was plain, easy, and natural, and not one single joke in it from the beginning to the end. Besides, sir, there was one scene of tender melancholy conversation, enough to have melted a heart of stone, and yet they damned it. And they damned themselves, for they shall have no more of mine.
Take pity on the town, sir.
No, sir, no, I'll write no more, unless I'm forced to it.
That's no easy thing, Marplay.
Yes, sir. Odes. A man may be obliged to write those, you know.
Ha! That's true indeed. But about my tragedy, Mr. Marplay?
I believe my father is at the Playhouse. If you please, we will read it now, but I must call on a young lady first. Hey, who's there? Is my footman there? Order my chair to the door. Your servant, gentlemen. Caro vien.
Exit singing.
This is the most finished gentleman I ever saw, and hath not, I dare swear, his equal.
If he has, here he comes.
Scene 7. Luckless, Whitmore, Bookwaite.
Mr. Bookwaite, your very humble servant.
I was told, sir, that you had particular business with me.
Yes, Mr. Bookwaite, I have something to put into your hands. I have a play for you, Mr. Bookwaite.
Is it accepted, sir?
Not yet.
Oh, sir, when it is, it will be then time enough to talk about it. A play like a bill is of no value till it is accepted, nor indeed what it is very often. Besides, sir, our playhouses are grown so plenty, and our actors so scarce, that really plays are become very bad commodities. But pray, sir, do you offer it to the players or the patentees?
Oh, to the players, certainly.
You are in the right of that, but a play which will do on the stage will not always do for us. There are your acting plays and your reading plays.
I do not understand that distinction.
Why, sir, your acting play is entirely supported by the merit of the actor, in which case it signifies very little whether there be any sense in it or no. Now your reading play is of a different stamp, and must have wit and meaning in't. These latter I call your substantive, as being able to support themselves. The former are your adjective, as what require the buffoonery and gestures of an actor to be joined with them to show their signification.
Very learnedly defined, truly.
Well, but Mr. Bookwaite, will you advance 50 guineas on my play?
50 guineas? Yes, sir. You shall have them with all my heart, if you will give me security for 'em. 50 guineas for a play? Sir, I would not give 50 shillings.
Steth, sir, do you beat me down at this rate?
No, nor 50 farthings. 50 guineas? Indeed, your name is well worth that.
Jack, take this worthy gentleman and kick him downstairs.
Sir, I shall make you repent this.
Come, sir, will you please to brush?
Help! Murder! I'll have the law of you, sir.
Ha, 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 ha!
Scene 8. Luckless, Whitmore, Mrs. Moneywood.
What noise is this? It is a very fine thing, truly, Mr. Luckless, that you will make these uproars in my house.
If you dislike it, it is in your power to drown a much greater. Do you but speak, madam, and I am sure no one will be heard but yourself.
Very well indeed. Fine reflections on my character. Sir, all the neighbours know that I have been as quiet a woman as ever lived in the parish. I had no noises in my house till you came. We were the family of love, but you have been a nuisance to the whole neighbourhood. While you had money, my doors were thundered at every morning at 4 and 5 by coachmen and chairmen, and since you have had none, my house has been besieged all day by creditors and bailiffs. Then there's the rascal, your man, but I will pay the dog. I will scour him. Sir, I am glad you are a witness of his abuses of me.
I am indeed, madam, a witness how unjustly he has abused you.
Jack whispers Luckless.
Whitmore, excuse me a moment.
Scene 9. Mrs. Moneywood, Whitmore.
Yes, sir. And, sir, a man that has never shown one the colour of his money.
Very hard, truly. How much may he be in your debt, pray? Because he has ordered me to pay you.
Ah, sir, I wish he had.
I am serious, I assure you.
I am very glad to hear it, sir. Here is the bill as we settled it this very morning. I always thought indeed Mr. Luckless had a great deal of honesty in his principles. Any man may be unfortunate, but I knew when he had money I should have it. And what signifies dunning a man when he hath it not? Now that is a way with some people which I could never come into.
There, madam, is your money. You may give Mr. Luckless the receipt.
Sir, I give you both a great many thanks. I am sure it is almost as charitable as if you gave it me, for I am to make up a sum to-morrow morning. Well, if Mr. Luckless was but a little soberer, I should like him for a lodger exceedingly, for I must say I think him a very pleasant, good-humoured man.
Scene 10. Luckless, Whitmore, Moneywood.
Those are words I never heard out of that mouth before.
You are pleased to be merry.
Why, Whitmore, thou hast the faculty opposite to that of a witch, and canst lay a tempest. I should as soon have imagined one man could have stopped a cannonball in its full force as her tongue.
He is the best company in the world, sir, and so full of his similitudes.
Luckless, good morrow. I shall see you soon again.
Let it be soon, I beseech you, for thou hast brought a calm into this house that was scarce ever in it before.
Scene 11. Luckless, Mrs. Moneywood, Jack.
Well, Mr. Luckless, you are a comical man to give one such a character to a stranger.
The company is gone, madam, and now, like a true man and wife, we may fall to abusing one another as fast as we please.
Abuse me as you please, so you pay me, sir.
'Sdeath, madam, I will pay you.
Nay, sir, I do not ask it before it is due. I don't question your payment at all. If you was to stay in my house this quarter of a year, as I hope you will, I should not ask you for a farthing.
Tull, lol, lol. But I shall have her begin with her passion immediately, and I had rather be the object of her rage for a year than of her love for half an hour.
But why did you choose to surprise me with my money? Why did you not tell me you would pay me?
Why, have I not told you?
Yes, you told me of a play and stuff, but you never told me you would order a gentleman to pay me. A sweet, pretty, good-humoured gentleman he is, heaven bless him. Well, you have comical ways with you, but you have honesty at the bottom, and I'm sure the gentleman himself will own I gave you that character.
Oh, I smell you now. You see, madam, I am better than my word to you. Did he pay it you in gold or silver?
All pure gold.
I have a vast deal of silver, which he brought me within. Will you do me the favour of taking it in silver? That will be of use to you in the shop, too.
Anything to oblige you, sir.
Jack, bring out the great bag, number 1. Please to tell the money, madam, on that table.
'Tis easily told. Heaven knows there's not so much on it.
Sir, the bag is so heavy, I cannot bring it in.
Why then, come and help to thrust a heavier bag out.
What do you mean?
Only to pay you in my bedchamber.
Oh, villain, dog, I'll swear a robbery and have you hanged. Rogues, villains.
Be as noisy as you please.
Shuts the door.
Jack, call a coach, And d'ye hear? Get up behind it and attend me.
End of Act 1. Act 2 of The Author's Farce by Henry Fielding. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Scene 1. The Playhouse. Luckless, Marplay Sr., Marplay Jr. Luckless reads.
Then hence my sorrows, hence my every fear, no matter where, so we are blessed together. With thee the barren rocks, where not one step of human race lies printed in the snow, look lovely as the smiling infant spring.
Oh, will you please to read that again, sir?
Then hence my sorrow, hence my every fear.
Then hence my sorrow. Horror is a much better word. And then in the second line, no matter where, so we are blessed together. Undoubtedly. It should be no matter where, so somewhere we're together. Where is the question? Somewhere is the answer. Read on, sir.
With thee the barren rocks, where not one step of human race lies printed in the snow, look lovely as the smiling infant spring.
No. I could alter those lines to a much better idea. With thee the barren blocks were not a bit of human face is painted on the bark. Look green as Covent Garden in the spring.
Green as Covent Garden?
Yes, Covent Garden Market, where they sell greens.
Monstrous!
Pray, sir, read on.
Leandra, oh, my Harmonio, I could hear thee still. The nightingale to thee sings out of tune, while on thy faithful breast my head reclines. The downy pillow is hard, while from thy lips I drink delicious draughts of nectar down. Falernian wines seem bitter to my taste.
Here's meat, drink, singing, and lodging, egad?
He answers.
But, sir...
Oh, let me pull thee, press thee to my heart, thou rising spring of everlasting sweets. Take notice, Fortune, I forgive thee all. Thou'st made Leandra mine, thou flood of joy, mix with my soul and rush through every vein.
Those last two lines again, if you please.
Thou'st made Leandra mine, thou flood of joy, mix with my soul and rush through every vein.
Thou flood of joy, mix with my soul and rush through every vein. Those are two excellent lines indeed. I never writ better myself. But, sir...
Leandra's mine, go bid the tongue of fate pronounce another word of bliss like that. Search through the eastern mines and golden shores, where lavish nature pours forth all her stores. For to my lot could all her treasures fall, I would not change Leandra for 'em all. There ends Act the First, and such an act as I believe never was on stage yet.
Nor never will, I hope.
Pray, sir, let me look at one thing. Valerian wines seem bitter to my taste. Pray, sir, what sort of wines may your Valerian be? For I never heard of 'em before, and I am sure, as I keep the best company, if there had been such sorts of wines, I should have tasted 'em. Tokay I have drank, and Lacrymae I have drank, but what your Valerian is, the devil take me if I can tell.
I fancy, father, these wines grow at the top of Parnassus.
Do they so, Mr. Pert? Why, then, I fancy you have never tasted them.
I suppose thou should say, the wines of the Cape are bitter to my taste.
Sir, I cannot alter it.
Nor we cannot act it. It won't do, sir. And so you need give yourself no further trouble about it.
What particular fault do you find?
Sir, there's nothing that touches me, nothing that is coercive to my passions.
Fare you well, sir. May another play be coercive to your passions.
Scene 2. Marplay Senior, Marplay Junior.
Ha, ha, ha.
What do you think of the play?
It may be a very good one, for aught I know. But I am resolved, since the town will not receive any of mine, they shall have none from any other. I'll keep them to their old diet.
But suppose they won't feed on it?
Then it shall be crammed down their throats.
I wish, father, you'd leave me that art for a legacy, since I'm afraid I'm like to have no other from you.
'Tis buff, child, 'tis buff, true Corinthian brass. And heaven be praised, though I have given thee no gold, I have given thee enough of that, which is the better inheritance of the two. Gold thou mightst have spent, but this is a lasting estate that will stick by thee all thy life.
What shall be done with that farce which was damned last night?
Give it 'em again to-morrow. I have told some persons of quality that it is a good thing, and I am resolved not to be in the wrong. Let us see which will be weary first, the town of damning, or we of being damned.
Rat the town, I say.
That's a good boy, and so say I. But prithee, what didst thou do with the comedy which I gave thee t'other day, that I thought a good one?
Did as you ordered me, returned it to the author, and told him it would not do.
You did well. If thou writest thyself, and I know thou art very well qualified to do, it is thy interest to keep back all other authors of any merit, and be as forward to advance those of none.
But I am a little afraid of writing, for my writings, you know, have fared but ill hitherto.
That is because thou hast a little mistaken the method of writing. The art of writing, boy, is the art of stealing old plays by changing the name of the play, and new ones by changing the name of the author.
If it was not for these cursed hisses and catcalls.
Harmless music, child, very harmless music, and what, when one is but well seasoned to it, has no effect at all. For my part, I have been used to 'em.
Aye, and I've been used to them too, for that matter.
And stood 'em bravely too. Idle young actors are fond of applause, but take my word for it, a clap is a mighty silly empty thing, and does no more good than a hiss. And therefore, if any man loves hissing, he may have his 3 shillings worth at me whenever he please.
Excellent. Scene 3. A room in Bookwaite's house. Dash, blot page, quibble, writing at several tables.
Pox on't, I'm as dull as an ox, though I have not a bit of one within me. I have not dined these 2 days, and yet my head is as heavy as any alderman's or lord's. I carry about me symbols of all the elements. My head is as heavy as water, my pockets are light as air, my appetite is as hot as fire, and my coat is as dirty as earth.
Lend me your bishy, Mr. Dash. I want a rhyme for wind.
Why, there's blind and kind and behind and find and mind. It is of the easiest termination imaginable. I have had it 4 times in a page.
But none of those words will do.
Why then, you may use any that end in ond or and or end. I am never so exact. If the 2 last letters are alike, it will do very well. Read the verse.
Inconstant as the seas, or as the wind.
What would you express in the next line?
Nay, that I don't know, for the sense is out already. I would say something about inconstancy.
I can lend you a verse, and it will do very well, too. Inconstancy will never have an end. End rhymes very well with wind.
It will do well enough for the middle of a poem.
Aye, anything will do well enough for the middle of a poem. If you can but get 20 good lines to place at the beginning for a taste, it will sell very well.
So that according to you, Mr. Dash, a poet acts pretty much on the same principles with an oyster woman.
Pox take your simile, it has set my chaps a-watering. But come, let us leave off work for a while and hear Mr. Quibble's song.
My pipes are pure and clear, and my stomach is as hollow as any trumpet in Europe.
Come, the song.
Song.
Ye commons and peers, how unhappy's the fate to live by one's pate and be forced to write hackney for bread. An author's a joke to all manner of folk, wherever he pops up his head, wherever he pops up his head. Though he mount on that hack, old Pegasus's back, and of Helicon drink till he burst, yet a curse of those streams, poetical dreams, they never can quench one's thirst. They never can quench one's thirst. Ah, how should he fly on fancy so high, when his limbs are in durance and hold? Or how should he charm with genius so warm, when his poor naked body's a-cold, when his poor naked body's a-cold.
Scene 4. Bookweight - Quibble blot page.
Fie upon it, gentlemen! What, not at your pens? Do you consider, Mr. Quibble, that it is a fortnight since your letter to a friend in the country was published? Is it not high time for an answer to come out? At this rate, before your answer is printed, your letter will be forgot. I love to keep a controversy up warm. I have had authors who have read a pamphlet in the morning, answered it in the afternoon, and answered that again at night.
Sir, I will be as expeditious as possible. But it is harder to write on this side the question because it is the wrong side.
Not a jot. So far on the contrary, that I have known some authors choose it as a prosperous to show their genius. But let me see what you have produced, with all deference to what the very learned and most ingenious person, in his letter to a friend in the country, hath advanced. Very well, sir. For besides that, it may sell more of the letter. All controversial writers should begin with complimenting their adversaries, as prize-fighters kiss before they engage. Let it be finished with all speed. Well, Mr. Dash, have you done that murder yet?
Yes, sir, the murder is done. I am only about a few moral reflections to place before it.
Very well. Then let me have the ghost finished by this day se'nnight.
What sort of a ghost would you have this? Sir, the last was a pale one.
Then let this be a bloody one. Mr. Quibble, you may lay by that life which you are about, for I hear the person is recovered, and write me out proposals for delivering 5 sheets of Mr. Bailey's English Dictionary every week, until the whole be finished. If you do not know the form, you may copy the proposals for printing Bayle's Dictionary in the same manner. The same words will do for both.
Enter Index.
So, Mr. Index, what news with you?
I have brought my bill, sir.
What's here? Forfeiting the motto of Raisum Teneatus Amici to a dozen pamphlets at 6 pence per each. 6 shillings, for omnia vecit amor, and nos sedamus amore, 6 pence. For difficile est satyrum non scribere, 6 pence. Sum total for 36 Latin mottos, 18 shillings. Ditto English, 1 shilling and 9 pence. Ditto Greek for 4 shillings. These Greek mottos are excessively dear.
If you have them cheaper at either of the universities, I will give you mine for nothing.
You shall have your money immediately, and pray remember that I must have 2 Latin seditious mottos and 1 Greek moral motto for pamphlets by tomorrow morning.
I want 2 Latin sentences, sir, one for page the 4th in the praise of loyalty, and another for page the 10th in praise of liberty and property.
The ghost would become a motto very well if you would bestow one on him.
Let me have them all.
Sir, I shall provide them. Be pleased to look on that, sir, and print me 500 proposals, and as many receipts.
Proposals for printing by subscription, a new translation of Cicero, of the nature of the gods, and his Tusculan questions by Jeremy Index, Esquire. I am sorry you have undertaken this, for it prevents a design of mine.
Indeed, sir, it does not. For you see all of the book that I ever intend to publish. It is only a handsome way of asking one's friends for a guinea.
Then you have not translated a word of it, perhaps?
Not a single syllable.
Well, you shall have your proposals forthwith, but I desire you would be a little more reasonable in your bills for the future, or I shall deal with you no longer. For I have a certain friend of a college who offers to furnish me with second-hand mottos out of the Spectator for 2 pence each.
Sir, I only desire to live by my goods, and I hope you will be pleased to allow some difference between a neat, fresh piece piping hot out of the classics, and old, threadbare, worn-out stuff that has passed through every pedant's mouth, and been as common at the universities as their whores.
Scene 5. Bookweight, Quibble, Scarecrow, blot page.
Sir, I have brought you a libel against the ministry.
Sir, I shall not take anything against them.
Aside.
For I have 2 in the press already.
Then, sir, I have an apology in defence of them.
That I shall not meddle with neither. They don't sell so well.
I have a translation of Virgil's Aeneid, with notes on it, if we can agree about the price.
Why, what price would you have?
You shall read it first. Otherwise, how will you know the value?
No, no, sir, I never deal that way. A poem is a poem, and a pamphlet with me. Give me a good, handsome, large volume with a full, promising title page at the head of it, printed on a good paper and letter, the whole well bound in gilt, and I'll warrant its selling. You have the common error of authors, who think people buy books to read. No, no. Books are only bought to furnish libraries, as pictures and glasses and beds and chairs are for other rooms. Look ye, sir, I don't like your title page. However, to oblige a young beginner, I don't care if I do print it at my own expense.
But pray, sir, at whose expense shall I eat?
At whose? Why, at mine, sir, at mine. I am as great a friend to learning as the Dutch are to trade. No one can want bread with me who will earn it. Therefore, sir, if you will please to take your seat at my table, there will be everything necessary provided for you. Good milk porridge, often twice a day, which is good wholesome food and proper for students. A translator, too, is what I want at present, my last being in Newgate for shoplifting. The rogue had a trick of translating out of the shops as well as the languages.
But I am afraid I am not qualified for a translator, for I understand no language but my own.
What, and translate Virgil?
Alas, I translated him out of Dryden.
Lay by your hat, sir, lay by your hat and take your seat immediately. Not qualified! Thou art as well versed in thy trade as if thou hadst laboured in my garret these 10 years. Let me tell you, friend, you will have more occasion for invention than learning here. You will be obliged to translate books out of all languages, especially French, that were never printed in any language whatsoever.
Your trade abounds in mysteries.
The study of bookselling is as difficult as the law, and there are as many tricks in the one as the other. Sometimes we give a foreign name to our own labours, and sometimes we put our names to the labours of others. Then, as the lawyers have John a Nokes and Thomas Styles, so we have Messieurs Moore near St. Paul's, and Smith near the Royal Exchange.
Scene 6. To them, Luckless.
Mr. Bookwaite, your servant, who can form to himself an idea more amiable than of a man at the head of so many patriots working for the benefit of their country?
Truly, sir, I believe it is an idea more agreeable to you than that of a gentleman in the Crown Office paying 30 or 40 guineas for abusing an honest tradesman.
Sure, that was only jostly done, and a man who lives by wit must not be angry at a jest.
Look ye, sir, if you have a mind to compromise the matter, and have brought me any money—
Hast thou been in thy trade so long, and talk of money to a modern author? You might as well have talked Latin or Greek to him. I have brought you paper, sir.
That is not bringing me money, I own. Have you brought me an opera?
You may call it an opera, if you will, but I call it a puppet show.
A puppet show?
Aye, a puppet show, and is to be played this night in Drury Lane Playhouse.
A puppet show in a playhouse?
Ah, why, what have been all the playhouses a long while but puppet shows?
Why, I don't know, but it may succeed. At least, if we can make out a tolerable good title page. So if you will walk in, if I can make a bargain with you, I will. Gentlemen, you may go to dinner.
Scene 8. Enter Jack Pudding, drummer, mob.
This is to give notice to all gentlemen, ladies, and others, that at the Theatre Royal in Drury Lane this evening will be performed the whole puppet show called The Pleasures of the Town, in which will be shown the whole court of nonsense, with abundance of singing, dancing, and several other entertainments. Also the comical and diverting humours of Somebody and Nobody, Punch and his wife Joan, to be performed by figures, some of them 6 foot high. God save the King.
Drum beats. Scene 9. Whitmore with paper, meeting Luckless.
Oh, Luckless, I am overjoyed to meet you. Here, take this paper, and you will be discouraged from writing, I warrant you.
What is it? Oh, one of my playbills.
One of thy playbills.
Even so, I have taken the advice you gave me this morning.
Explain.
Why, I had some time since given this performance of mine to be rehearsed, and the actors were all perfect in their parts, but we happened to differ about some particulars, and I had a design to have given it over, till having my play refused by Marpley, I sent for the managers of the other house in a passion, joined issue with them, and this very evening it is to be acted.
Well, I wish you success.
Where are you going?
Anywhere but to hear you damned, which I must, was I to go to your puppet show.
Indulge me in this trial, and I assure thee, if it be successless, it shall be the last.
On that condition I will, but should the torrent run against you, I shall be a fashionable friend, and hiss with the rest.
No, a man who could do so unfashionable and so generous a thing as Mr. Whitmore did this morning.
Then I hope you will return it, by never mentioning it to me more. I will now to the pit.
And I behind the scenes.
Scene 10. Luckless, Harriet.
Dear Harriet.
I was going to the playhouse to look after you. I'm frightened out of my wits. I have left my mother at home with the strangest sort of man, who is inquiring after you. He has raised a mob before the door by the oddity of his appearance. His dress is like nothing I ever saw, and he talks of kings and bantam and the strangest stuff.
What the devil can he be?
One of your old acquaintance, I suppose, in disguise. One of His Majesty's officers with his commission in his pocket, I warrant him.
Well, but have you your part perfect?
I had, unless this fellow hath frightened it out of my head again. But I am afraid I shall play it wretchedly.
Why so?
I shall never have assurance enough to go through with it, especially if they should hiss me.
Oh, your mask will keep you in countenance, and as for hissing, you need not fear it. The audience are generally so favourable to young beginners. But, hist, here is your mother, and she has seen us. Adieu, my dear. Make what haste you can to the playhouse.
Exit. Scene 11. Harriet Moneywood.
I wish I could avoid her, for I suppose we shall have an alarm.
So, very fine. Always together, always caterwauling. How like a hangdog he stole off. And 'tis well for him he did, for I should have rung such a peal in his ears. There's a friend of his at my house would be very glad of his company, and I wish it was in my power to bring them together.
You would not surely be so barbarous.
Barbarous? You whining, puling fool! Hussy, you have not a drop of my blood in you. What, you are in love, I suppose?
If I was, madam, it would be no crime.
Yes, madam, but it would, and a folly too. No woman of sense was ever in love with anything but a man's pocket. What, I suppose he has filled your head with a pack of romantic stuff of streams and dreams and charms and arms. I know this is the stuff they all run on with, and so run into our debts and run away with our daughters. Come, confess, are not you two to live in a wilderness together on love? Ah, thou fool! Thou wilt find he will pay thee in love, just as he has paid me in money. If thou wert resolved to go a-begging, why did you not follow the camp? There indeed you might have carried a knapsack, but here you will have no knapsack to carry. There indeed you might have had the chance of burying 60 husbands in a campaign, whereas a poet is a long-lived animal. You have but one chance of burying him, and that is starving him.
Well, madam, and I would sooner starve with the man I love than ride in a coach and six with him I hate. And as for his passion, you will not make me suspect that, for he hath given me such proofs on it.
Proofs? Oh, I shall die. Has he given you proofs of love?
All that any modest woman can require.
If he has given you all a modest woman can require, I am afraid he has given you more than a modest woman should take. Because he has been so good a lodger, I suppose I shall have some more of the family to keep. It is probable I shall live to see 6 grandsons of mine in Grub Street.
Scene 12. Moneywood, Harriet, Jack.
Oh, madam, the man whom you took for a bailiff is certainly some great man. He has a vast many jewels and other fine things about him. He offered me 20 guineas to show him my master, and has given away so much money among the chairmen that some folks believe he intends to stand Member of Parliament for Westminster.
Nay, then I am sure he is worth inquiring into. So, d'ye hear, sirrah, make as much haste as you can before me, and desire him to part with no more money till I come.
So, now my mother is in pursuit of money, I may securely go in pursuit of my lover. And I am mistaken, good mamma, if e'en you would not think that the better pursuit of the two. In generous love transporting raptures lie, which age with all its treasures cannot buy.
End of Act 2. Act 3 of The Author's Farce by Henry Fielding. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Scene 1. The Playhouse. Enter Luckless as master of the show and manager.
It's very surprising that after I have been at all this expense and trouble in setting my things up in your house, you should desire me to recant, and now too, when the spectators are all assembled, and will either have the show or their money.
Nay, sir, I am very ready to perform my covenants with you, but I am told that some of the players do not like their parts, and threaten to leave the house. Some to the Haymarket, some to the Goodman's Fields, and others to set up 2 or 3 new playhouses in several parts of the town.
I have quieted all that, and believe there is not one engaged in the performance, but who is now very well satisfied.
Well, sir, then so am I. But pray, what is the design or plot? For I couldn't make neither head nor tail on't.
Why, sir, the chief business is the election of an arch-poet, or as others call him, a poet laureate, to the goddess of nonsense. I have introduced, indeed, several other characters, not entirely necessary to the main design, for I was assured by a very eminent critic that in the way of writing great latitude might be allowed, and that a writer of puppet shows might take as much more liberty than a writer of operas, as an opera writer might be allowed beyond a writer of plays. As for the scene, it lies on the other side of the river Styx, and all the people in my play are dead.
I wish they may not be danced to with all my heart.
Sir, I depend much on the good nature of the audience, but they are impatient. I hear them knock with their canes. Let us begin immediately. I think we will have an overture played on this occasion. Mr. Cedo, have you not provided a new overture on this occasion?
I have composed one.
Then pray let us have it. Come, sir, be pleased to sit down by mead. Gentlemen, the first thing I present you with is Punchinello.
The curtain draws and discovers Punch in a great chair. Punch sings. Air 1. Whilst the town's brimful of folly.
Whilst the town's brimful of farces, flocking whilst we see her asses, thick as grapes upon a bunch. Critics, whilst you smile on madness, and more stupid solemn sadness, sure you will not frown on Punch.
The next is Punch's wife, Joan.
Enter Joan.
What can ail my husband? He is continually humming tunes, though his voice be only fit to warble at Hog's Norton, where the pigs would accompany it with organs. I was in hopes death would have stopped his mouth at last, but he keeps his old harmonious humour even in the shades.
Be not angry, dear Joan. Orpheus obtained his wife from the shades by charming Pluto with his music.
Sirrah, sirrah, should Pluto hear you sing, you could expect no less punishment than Tantalus has. Nay, the waters would be brought above your mouth to stop it.
Truly, madam, I don't wish the same success Orpheus met with. Could I gain my own liberty, the devil might have you with all my heart.
Air 2.
Joan, Joan, Joan has a thundering tongue, and Joan, Joan, Joan is a bold one. How happy is he who from wedlock is free, for who'd have a wife to scold one?
Punch, 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 prithee think of your hunch, prithee look at your great strutting belly. Sirrah, if you dare, war with me declare, I will beat your fat guts to a jelly.
They dance. Air 3. Bobbing Joan.
Joan, you are the plague of my life. A rope would be welcomer than such a wife.
Punch, your merits had you but shared, your neck had been longer by half a yard.
Ugly witch.
Son of a bitch.
Would you were hanged or drowned in a ditch.
Dance again.
Since we hate like people in vogue, let us call not bitch and rogue. Gentler titles let us use, hate each other but not abuse.
Pretty dear.
Ah, ma chère,
Joy of my life
and only care.
Dance and exeunt.
Gentlemen, the next is Charon and a poet. They are disputing about an affair pretty common with poets, going off without paying.
Enter Charon and a poet.
Never tell me, sir. I expect my fare. I wonder what trade these authors drive in the other world. I would with as good a will see a soldier aboard my boat. A tattered red coat and a tattered black one have bilked me so often that I am resolved never to take either of them up again, unless I am paid beforehand.
What a wretched thing it is to be poor. My body lay a fortnight in the other world before it was buried, and this fellow has kept my spirit a month, sunning himself on the other side the river, because my pockets were empty. Wilt thou be so kind as to show me the way to the court of nonsense?
Ha! The court of nonsense! Why, pray, sir, what have you to do there? These rags look more like the dress of one of Apollo's people than of Nonsense's.
Why, fellow, did thou never carry rags to nonsense?
Truly, sir, I cannot say but I have. But it is a long time ago, I assure you. But if you are really bound thither, and are a poet, as I presume from your outward appearance, you should have brought a certificate from the goddess's agent, Mr. what d'ye call him? The gentleman that writes odes. So finely. However, that I may not hear any more of your verses on the riverside, I'll even carry you over on her account. She pays for all her insolvent votaries. Look at that account, sir. She's the best deity to me in the shades.
Spirits imported for the goddess of nonsense, 5 people of great quality, 7 ordinary courtiers, 19 attorneys, 11 counsellors, 100 poets, players, doctors, and apothecaries, fellows of colleges, and members of the Royal Society.
Gentlemen, the next is one of Charon's men with a prisoner.
Enter sailor and a sexton.
How now?
We have caught him at last. This is Mr. Robgrave the sexton, who has plundered so many spirits.
You come at last, sir. What have you to say for yourself, huh? Where are all the jewels and other valuable things you have stolen? Where are they, sir, huh?
Alack, sir, I'm but a poor rogue. The parish officers and others have had them all. I had only a small reward for stealing them.
Then you shall have another reward here, sir. Carry him before Justice Minos. The moment he gets on the other side of the water, let him be shackled and put aboard.
Exeunt sailor and sexton.
Who knows whether this rogue has not robbed me too? I forgot to look in upon my body before I came away.
Had you any things of value buried with you?
Things of inestimable value. 6 folios of my own work.
Most poets of this age will have their works buried with them.
The next is the ghost of a director. Enter director.
Mr. Sharon, I want a boat to cross the river.
You shall have a place, sir. I believe I have just room for you, unless you are a lawyer, and I have strict orders to carry no more over yet. Hell is too full of them already.
Sir, I am a director.
A director? What's that?
A director of a company, sir. I am surprised you should not know what that is. I thought our names had been famous enough on this road.
Oh, sir, I ask your honour's pardon. Will you be pleased to go aboard?
I must have a whole boat by myself, for I have 2 wagon-loads of treasure that will be here immediately.
It is as much as my place is worth, to take anything of that nature aboard.
Sure. You shall go snacks with me, and I warrant we'd cheat the devil. I have been already too hard for him in the other world. Do you understand what security on bottomry is? I'll make your fortune.
Here, take the gentleman, let him be well fettered, and carry the board away with him.
Sir, here are a wagon load of ghosts arrived from England that were knocked on the head at a late election.
Fit out another boat immediately, but be sure to search their pockets, that they carry nothing over with them. I found a bank bill of £50 the other day in the pocket of a cobbler's ghost who came hither on the same account.
Sir, a great number of passengers arrived from London, all bound to the court of nonsense.
Some plague, I suppose, or a fresh cargo of physicians come to town from the universities.
Now, gentlemen, I shall produce such a set of figures as I defy all Europe, except our own playhouses, to equal. Come, put away. Pray mind these figures.
Enter Don Tragerio, Sir Farcical Comic, Dr. Orator, Signor Opera, Monsieur Pantomime, and Mrs. Novel.
Ha! Don Tragedio, your most obedient servant. Sir Farcical, Dr. Orator, I'm heartily glad to see you. Dear Signor Opera, Monsieur Pantomime. Ha! Mine Heir Van Treble. Mrs. Novel in the shades too. What lucky distemper could have sent so much good company hither?
A tragedy occasioned me to die, that perishing the first day, so did I.
A pastoral sent me out of the world. My life went out in a hiss. Step, my vitals!
A Muggletonian dog stabbed me.
Heir 4. Sylvia, my dearest.
Claps universal, applauses resounding, hisses confounding, attending my song. My senses drowned, and I fell down dead, whilst I was singing ding dang dong.
Well, Monsieur Pantomime, how came you by your fate?
Pantomime makes signs to his neck.
Broke his neck? Alas, poor gentleman! And you, Mynheer Van Treble, what sent you hither? And you, Madame Novel?
Heir 5. 'Twas when the seas were roaring.
Oh, pity all a maiden condemned hard fates to prove. I rather would have laid in than thus have died for love. 'Twas hard to encounter death before the bridal bed. Ah, would I have kept my breath and lost my maidenhead.
Poor lady!
Come, my masters, 'tis a rare fresh gale. If you please, I'll show you aboard.
Observe, gentlemen, how these figures walk off. The next gentleman is a blackamoor lady, who comes to present you with a saraband and castanets.
A dance.
Now, gentlemen and ladies, I shall produce a bookseller who is the Prime Minister of Nonsense and the poet.
Enter bookseller and poet.
'Tis strange, 'tis wondrous strange.
And yet 'tis true. Did you observe her eyes?
Her ears, rather, for there she took the infection. She saw the signor's visage in his voice.
Did you not mark how she melted when he sang?
I saw her, like another Dido. I saw her heart rise up to her eyes, and drop down again to her ears.
That a woman of so much sense as the goddess of nonsense should be taken thus at first sight. I have served her faithfully these 30 years as a bookseller in the upper world, and never knew her guilty of one folly before.
Nay, certainly, Mr. Curry, you know as much of her as any man.
I think I ought, as I am sure I have made as large oblations to her as all Warwick Lane and Paternoster Row.
But is she this night to be married to Signor Opera?
This is to be the bridal night. Well, this will be the strangest thing that has happened in the shades since the rape of Proserpine. But now I think on't, what news bring you from the other world?
Why, affairs go much in the same road there as when you were alive. Authors starve, booksellers grow fat. Grub Street harbours as many pirates as ever Algiers did. They have more theatres than are at Paris, and just as much wit as there is at Amsterdam. They've ransacked all Italy for singers, and all France for dancers.
And all hell for conjurers.
My Lord Mayor has shortened the time of Bartholomew Fair in Smithfield, and so they're resolved to keep it all the year round at the other end of town.
I find matters go swimmingly. But I fancy I am wanted, and if you please, sir, I will show you the way.
Sir, I follow you.
Excellent. Enter Punch.
You fiddler!
Well, Punch, what's the matter now?
What do you think my wife Joan is about?
Faith, I can't tell.
Odds bods! She is got with 3 women of quality at quadrille.
Quadrille? Ha! Ha!
I have taken a resolution to run away from her and set up a trade.
A trade? Why, you have no stock.
Oh, but I intend to cheat my creditors, and so get one.
That bite is too stale, Master Punch.
Is it? Then I'll e'en turn lawyer. There is no stock required there, but a stock of impudence.
Yes, there is a stock of law without which you will starve at the bar.
Ay, but I'll get upon the bench, and I shall soon have law enough. For then I can make anything I say to be law.
Hush, you scurrilous rascal!
Odds bods, I have hit it now.
What now?
I have it at last, the rarest trade. Punch, thou art made for ever.
What conceit has the fool got in his head now?
I'll e'en turn Parliament man.
Ha! 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 Why, sirrah, thou hast neither interest nor qualification.
How? Not interest? Yes, sir. Punch is very well known to have a very comfortable interest in all the corporations of England. And for qualification, if I have no estate of my own, I can borrow one.
This will never do, Master Punch. You must think of something you have a better qualification for.
Ay, why then I'll turn great man. That requires no qualification whatsoever.
Get you gone, you impudent rogue. Gentlemen, the next figures are somebody and nobody, come to present you with a song and a dance.
Enter somebody and nobody. Air 7, Black Joke.
Of all the men in London town, or knaves or fools in coat or gown, their representative am I.
Go through the world and you will find, in all the classes of humankind, many a jolly nobody.
For him a nobody, sure we may call, who during his life does nothing at all, but eat and snore and drink and roar, from whore to the tavern, from tavern to whore, with a lace coat, and that is all.
Gentlemen, this is the end of the first interlude. Now, gentlemen, I shall present you with the most glorious scene that has ever appeared on the stage. It is the Court of Nonsense. Play away, soft music, and draw up the curtain.
The curtain drawn up to soft music discovers the Goddess of Nonsense on a throne, the orator in a tub, Tragedio, etc., attending.
Let all my votaries prepare to celebrate this joyful day.
Gentlemen, observe what a lover of recitativo nonsense is.
Monsieur Pantomime, you are welcome.
Pantomime cuts a caper.
Alas, poor gentleman, he is modest. You may speak. No words offend that have no wit in them.
Why, madam, nonsense! Don't you know that Monsieur Pantomime is dumb? And let me tell you, he has been of great service to you. He is the only one of your votaries that sets people asleep without talking. But here's Don Tragedio will make noise enough.
Yes, Tragedio is indeed my name, long since recorded in the rolls of fame, at Lincoln's Inn and eke at Drury Lane. Let everlasting thunder sound my praise, and forked lightning in my scutcheon blaze. To Shakespeare, Johnson, Dryden, Lee, or Rowe, I not a line, no, not a thought do owe. Me for my novelty let all adore, for as I wrote, none ever wrote before.
Thou art doubly welcome, welcome.
That welcome, yes, that welcome is my due. 2 tragedies I wrote, and wrote for you, and had not hisses me dismayed. By this I'd writ 2 score by jade.
By jade, aye, that's another excellence of the Don's. He does not only glean up all the bad words of other authors, but makes new bad words of his own.
Nay, egad, I have made new words, and spoiled old ones too, if you talk of that. I have made foreigners break English, and Englishmen break Latin. I have as great a confusion of languages in my play as was at the building of Babel.
And so much the more extraordinary, because the author understands no language at all.
No language at all? Step, my vitals!
Dr. Orator, I have heard of you.
Ay, and you might have heard me too. I bowed loud enough, I'm sure.
She might have heard you, but if she had understood your advertisements, I believe nonsense to have more understanding than Apollo.
Have understood me, sir? What has understanding to do? My hearers would be diverted, and they are so, which could not be if understanding were necessary, because very few of them have any.
You've all deserved my hearty thanks, but here my treasure I bestow.
To opera.
Your Highness knows what reward I prize.
Air 8, Librivox.
Let the foolish philosopher strive in his cell, by wisdom or virtue, to merit true praise. The soldier in hardship and danger still dwell, that glory and honour may crown his last days. The patriot sweat to be thought great, or beauty all day at the looking-glass toil, that popular voices may ring their applauses, while a breath is the only reward of their coil. But would you a wise man to action incite, be riches proposed the reward of his pain? In riches is centred all human delight, no joy is on earth but what gold can obtain. If women, wine, or grandeur fine, be most your delight, all these riches can. Would you have men to flatter, to be rich is the matter, when you cry he is rich, you cry a great man.
When you cry he is rich, you cry a great man. Bravissimo! I long to be your wife.
Gentlemen, observe and take notice how the goddess of nonsense is smitten by music, and falls in love with the ghost of Signor Opera.
If all my romances ever pleased the ear of my goddess, if I ever found favour in her sight, oh, do not rob me thus.
What means my daughter?
Alas, he is my husband.
But though he were your husband in the other world, death solves that tie, and he is at liberty now to take another. And I never knew any one instance of a husband here who would take the same wife again.
Air 9. Whilst I gazed on Chloe trembling.
May all maids from me take warning, how a lover's arms they fly, lest the first kind offer scorning, they without a second die. How unhappy is my passion, how tormenting is my pain, If you thwart my inclination, let me die for love again.
Again? What? Did you die for love of your husband?
He knows he ought to have been so. He swore he would be so. Yes, he knows I died for love, for I died in childbed.
Why, madam, did you not tell me all the road hither that you was a virgin?
Heir 10. Highland Laddie.
I was told in my life death for ever did dissever men from every mortal strife, and that greatest plague a wife. For had the priests possessed men, that to Tartarus wives came after us, their devil would be a jest then, and our devil a wife.
Avaunt, polluted wretch, begone! Think not I'll take pollution to my arms. No, 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 no.
Well, since I can't have a goddess, I'll e'en prove a man of honour. I was always in love with thee, my angel, but ambition is a dreadful thing. However, my ghost shall pay the debts of my body.
Now I am happy, verily.
My long-lost dear.
My new-found bud.
Heir 11. Dusty Miller.
Will my charming creature once again receive me? Though I proved a traitor, will she still believe me? I will well repay thee for past faults of roving, nor shall any day be without proofs of loathing. O that tender lily breast, while I lie panting, both together blest, both with transports fainting.
Sure no human hearts were ever so delighted. Death which others parts hath our souls united.
Heir 12. Over the hills and far away.
Where I laid on Scotland's coast, and in my arms embraced my dear, let Scrabado do its most, I would know no grief or fear.
Where we cast on island soil, there confined in bogs to dwell, for thee potatoes I would boil, no Irish spouse should feast so well.
And though we scrubbed it all the day,
we'd kiss and hug the night away.
Scotch and Irish both should say,
Oh, how blessed, how blessed are they!
Since my goddess is disengaged from one lover, may the humblest, yet not the least diligent of her servants, hope she would smile on him?
Master Orator, you had best try to charm the goddess with an oration.
The history of a fiddle and a fiddlestick is going to be held forth, being particularly defined in a letter from a certain querist on that point. A fiddle is a statesman. Why? Because it's hollow. A fiddlestick is a drunkard. Why? Because it loves rosning.
Gentlemen, observe how he balances his hands. His left hand is the fiddle, and his right hand is the fiddlestick.
A fiddle is like a bow's nose, because the bridge is often down. A fiddlestick is like a mountebank, because it plays upon a crowd. A fiddle is like a stock jobber's tongue, because it sounds different notes. And a fiddlestick is like a stock jobber's wig, because it has a great deal of horsehair in it.
And your oration is like yourself, because it has a great deal of nonsense in it.
In vain you try to charm my ears, unless by music.
Have a duel then.
Gentlemen, observe how the doctor sings in his tub. Here are no wires, all alive, alive, ho!
Chimes of the times, to the tune of Moll Pateley.
Heir 13. Moll Pateley.
All men are birds by nature, sir, though they have not wings to fly. On earth a soldier's a creature, sir, much resembling a kite in the sky. The physician is a fowl, sir, whom most men call an owl, sir, who by his hooting hooting, 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 tells us that death is nigh. The usurer is a swallow, sir, that can swallow gold by the jorum. A woodcock is Squire Shallow, sir, and a goose is oft of the quorum. The gamester is a rook, sir, the lawyer with his coke, sir, is but a raven, croaking, 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 after the ready rhinorum. Young virgins are as scarce as rails, sir, plenty as bats the night-walkers go. Soft Italians are nightingales, sir, and a cock-sparrow mimics a bow. Like birds men are to be caught, sir, like birds men are to be bought, sir. Men of a side, like birds of a feather, will flock together, both sexes like birds will too.
'Tis all in vain.
Is nonsense of me then forgetful grown? And must the Signor be preferred alone? Is it for this, ye gods, that I have in one scene made some folks laugh, some cry? For this does my low blustering language creep, at once to wake you and to make you sleep?
And so all my puns and quibbles and conundrums are quite forgotten. Step, my vitals!
More chimes of the times, to the tune of rogues, rogues, rogues.
Air 14. There was a jovial beggar.
The stone that all things turns at will to gold the chemist craves, but gold without the chemist's skill turns all men into knaves. For a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go. The merchant would the courtier cheat, when on his goods he lays too high a price. But faith his bit, for a courtier never pays. For a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go. The lawyer with a face demure hangs him who steals your pelf, because the good man can endure no robber but himself. For a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go. Betwixt the quack and highwayman what difference can there be? Though this with pistol, that with pen, both kill you for a fee. For a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go. The husband cheats his loving wife, and to a mistress goes, while she at home, to ease her life, carouses with the beaux. For a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go. That some directors cheats were, some have made bold to doubt, did not the supercargo's care prevent their finding out. For a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go. The tenant doth the steward nick, so low this art we find. The steward doth his lordship trick, my lord tricks all mankind. For a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go. One sect there are to whole fair lot no cheating arts do fall, and those are parsons called, God wot, and so I cheat you all. For a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go, for a cheating they will go.
Enter Sharon.
And please your majesty, there is an odd sort of a man on the other side of the water. Says he's recommended to you by some people of quality? God, I don't care to take him aboard, not I. He says his name is Hullabalumbo, I think he calls himself. He looks like one of Apollo's people in my opinion. He seems to be man enough to be a real poet.
Take him aboard.
I had forgot to tell your ladyship, I hear rare news. They say you are to be declared goddess of wit.
That's no news, Mr. Sharon.
Well, I'll take Hullabalumbo aboard.
Exit Sharon.
I must win the goddess before she arrives, or else I shall lose her forever. a rap at the times.
Air 15. When I was a dame of honour.
Come all have heard my cushion beat. Confess me as full of dullness as any egg is full of meat, or full moon is of fullness. Let the justice and his clerk both own that there's my dullness greater, and tell how I've rang the town when I was a bold orator. The lawyer wrangling at the bar, while reverend bench is dozing, the scribbler in a pamphlet war, or Grub Street bard composing, the trudging quack in scarlet cloak, or coffee-house politic prater, can none come up to what I have spoke when I was a bold orator. The well-bred courtier telling lies, or levee hunter believing, the vain coquette that rolls her eyes, more empty fops deceiving, the parson of dissenting gang, or fluttering dedicator, could none of them like me harangue when I was a bold orator.
Enter Punch.
You!
What's the matter, Punch?
Who is that?
That's an orator, Master Punch.
An orator? What's that?
Why, an orator is, egad, I can't tell what. He is a man that nobody dares dispute with.
Say you so? I'll be with him presently. Bring out my tub there. I'll dispute with you, I'll warrant. I am a Muggletonian.
I am not.
Then you are not of my opinion.
Sirrah, I know that you and your whole tribe would be the death of me, but I am resolved to proceed to confute you as I have done hitherto, and as long as I have breath you shall hear me, and I hope I have breath enough to blow you all out of the world.
If noise will.
Sir, I...
Hear me, sir.
Hear him! Hear him! Hear him!
Air 16. Hey, Barnaby, take it for warning.
No tricks shall save your bacon. Orator, orator, you are mistaken. Punch will not be thus confuted. Bring forth your reasons, or you are none-suited. Hey-ho! No tricks shall save your bacon. Orator, orator, you are mistaken.
Instead of reasons advancing, let the dispute be concluded by dancing. Tee-to!
They dance.
'Tis all in vain. A virgin I will live, and oh, great Signor, prithee take this chaplet, and still wear it for my fake.
Gentlemen, observe how Signor Opera is created arch-poet to the goddess of nonsense.
And does great nonsense then at length determine to give the chaplet to that singing vermin?
I do.
Then, Opera, come on, and let us try whether shall wear the chaplet, you or I.
Air 17. Be kind and love.
Oh, spare to take his precious life away, so sweet a voice must sure your passion lay. Oh, hear his gentle murmurs first, and then, if you can kill him, I will cry amen.
Since but a song you ask, a song I'll hear. But tell him that last song is his last prayer.
Air 18.
Barbarous, cruel man, I'll sing thus while I'm dying like a swan, a swan, a swan, with my face all pale and wan. More fierce art thou than pirates, whom the siren's music charms, alarms, disarms. More fierce than men on the high roads, on the high roads, on the high roads. More fierce than men on the high roads, when Polly Peachum warms. The devil was made civil by Orpheus's tuneful charms, and can he gentler prove than man?
I cannot do it.
Sheathes his sword.
Methinks I feel my flesh congealed to bone, and know not if I'm flesh and blood or stone.
Pantomime runs several times round the stage.
Alas! What means Monsieur Pantomime?
By his pointing to his head, I suppose he would have the chaplet.
Pretty youth!
Oh, my dear, how shall I express the trouble of my soul?
If there be sympathy in love, I'm sure I felt it, for I was in a damnable fright too.
Give me a bust, then.
Air 19, Under the Greenwood Tree.
In vain 1,000 heroes and kings should court me to their arms, in vain should give me 1,000 fine things, for thee I'd reserve my charms. On that dear breast entranced in joy, oh, let me ever be.
Oh, how I will kiss thee, how I'll embliss thee, when thou art abed with me.
Oh, how I will kiss thee, how I'll enlist thee, when thou art abed with me. Alas, what mighty noise!
Gentlemen, the next is a messenger.
Enter messenger.
Stay, goddess, nor with haste the prize bequeath. A mighty sprite now hastens here beneath. Long in the world your noble cause he fought. Your laureate there, your precepts still he taught. To his great son he leaves that laurel now, and hastens to receive one here below.
I can't revoke my grant, but he shall a manager of our players be.
The next is Count Ugly from the Opera House in the Haymarket.
Enter Count Ugly.
Too late, O mighty Count, you came.
I ask not for myself, for I disdain o'er the poor ragged tribe of bards to reign. Me did my stars to happier fates prefer, surintendant des plaisirs d'Angleterre. If masquerades you have, let those be mine, but on the signor let the laurel shine.
What is thy plea? Hast written?
No, nor read. But if from dullness any may succeed, to that nonsense I good title plead. Naught else was ever in my masquerade.
No more by Styx I swear, that opera the crown shall wear.
Heir.
Away each meek pretender flies. Opera, thou hast gained the prize. Nonsense, grateful, still must own, thou best support'st her throne. For her subscriptions thou didst gain by the soft alluring strain, when Shakespeare's thought and Congreve's brought their aids to sense in vain. Beauties who subdue mankind, thy soft chains alone can bind. See within their lovely eyes the melting wish arise. While thy sounds enchant the ear, lovers think the nymph sincere, and projectors and directors lose awhile their fear.
Enter Charon.
How now, Charon? You are not to enter yet?
To enter, sir. Alack-a-day, we are all undone. Here's Sir John Bindover and the constable coming in.
Enter Sir John and Constable.
Are you the master of the puppet show?
Yes, sir.
Then you must along with me, sir. I have a warrant for you, sir.
For what?
For abusing nonsense, sirrah.
People of quality are not to have their diversions libelled at this rate.
Of what do you accuse me, gentlemen?
Shall you abuse nonsense when the whole town supports it?
Pox on't! Had this fellow stayed a few moments longer, till the dance had been over, I had been easy. Hark ye, Mr. Constable, shall I only beg your patience for one dance, and then I'll wait on you?
Sirrah, don't try to corrupt the magistrate with your bribes. Here shall be no dancing.
What does this fellow of a constable mean by interrupting our play?
Heir 21. Fair Dorinda.
Oh, Mr. Constable, drunken rascal, would I had thee at the Rose! Mayst thou be beaten, hanged up and eaten by the carrion crows. The filth that lies in common shores, may it ever lie in thy nose, may it ever lie in thy nose. Oh, may it lie in thy nose.
Mollify yourself, madam.
Sir John aside.
That is really a pretty creature. It were a piece of charity to take her to myself for a handmaid.
Constable aside.
Very pretty truly. If magistrates are to be abused at the street, the devil may be a constable for me. Harkye, madam, do ye know who we are?
A rogue, sir.
Madam, I am a constable by day, and a justice of the peace by night.
That is a buzzard by day and an owl by night.
Heir 22, Newmarket.
Why, madam, do you give such words as these to a constable and a justice of the peace? I fancy you'll know better how to speak. By that time you've been in Bridewell a week, have beaten good hemp and been whipped at a post. I hope you'll repent when some skin you have lost. But if this makes you tremble, I'll not be severe. Come down a good guinea, and you shall be clear.
Oh, Sir John, you, I am sure, are the commander in this enterprise. If you will prevent the rest of our show, let me beg you will permit the dance.
Heir 23, Charming Betty.
Sweetest honey, good Sir Johnny, prithee let us take a dance. Leave your cantings, zealous ranting, come and shake a merry haunch. Motions firing, sounds inspiring, we are led to softer joys, where in trances each soul dances, music then seems only noise.
Verily I am conquered. Pity prevaileth over severity, and the flesh hath subdued the spirit. I feel emotion in me, and whether it be of grace or no, I am not certain. Pretty maid, I cannot be deaf any longer to your prayers. I will abide the performing dance, and will myself, being thereto moved by an inward working, accompany you therein, taking for my partner that reverend gentleman.
Then strike up.
Enter Whitmore, Mrs. Moneywood, Harriet, Bantamite.
Long live his Majesty of Bantam.
Heaven preserve him.
Your gracious father, sir, greets you well.
What in the devil's name is the meaning of this?
I find he is entirely ignorant of his father.
Aye, sir, it is very common in this country for a man not to know his father.
What do you mean?
His features are much altered.
Sir, I shall alter your features if you proceed.
Give me leave to explain myself. I was your tutor in your earliest days, sent by your father, His present Majesty Francis IV, King of Bantam, to show you the world. We arrived at London, when one day, among other frolics, our ship's crew shooting the bridge, the boat overset, and all of our company, I and your royal self, were only saved by swimming to Billingsgate. But though I saved my life, I lost for some time my senses, and you, as then I feared, forever. When I recovered, after a long, fruitless search for my royal master, I set sail for Bantam. but was driven by the winds on far distant coasts and wandered several years, till at last I arrived once more at Bantam. Guess how I was received. The king ordered me to be imprisoned for life. At last some lucky chance brought thither a merchant, who offered this jewel as a present to the king of Bantam.
Ha! It is the same which was tied upon my arm, which by good luck I preserved from every other accident, till want of money forced me to pawn it.
The merchant, being strictly examined, said he had it of a pawnbroker, upon which I was immediately dispatched to England, and the merchant kept close prisoner, till my return, then to be punished with death, or rewarded with the government of an island.
Know then that at that time when you lost your senses, I also lost mine. I was taken up half dead by a waterman, and conveyed to his wife, who sold oysters, by whose assistance I recovered. But the waters of the Thames, like those of the Lethe, had caused an entire oblivion of my former fortune. But now it breaks in like light upon me, and I begin to recollect it all. Is not your name Gonsalvo?
It is.
Embrace.
Oh, my Gonsalvo!
Oh, my dearest lord.
But say by what lucky accident you discovered me.
I did intend to have advertised you in the Evening Post with a reward, but being directed by the merchant to the pawnbroker, I was accidentally there inquiring after you when your boy brought your nab. Oh, sad remembrance, that the son of a king should pawn a hat. The woman told me that was the boy that pawned the jewel, and of him I learnt where you lodged.
Prodigious fortune!
A wind horn without. Enter messenger.
An express is arrived from Bantam with the news of His Majesty's death.
Then, sir, you are king. Long live Henry I, King of Bantam.
Long live
Henry I, King of Bantam.
King of Bantam!
Long live Henry I,
King of Bantam!
Long live Henry I, King of Bantam!
Whitmore, I now may repay your generosity.
Fortune has repaid me, I am sure, more than she owed, by conferring this blessing on you.
My friend, but here I am indebted to the Golden Goddess for having given me an opportunity to aggrandize the mistress of my soul and set her on the throne of Bantam. Come, madam, now you may lay aside your mask, so once repeat your acclamations. Long live Henry and Harriet, King and Queen of Bantam!
Huzzah!
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 Air 24. Gently touch the warbling lyre.
Let others fondly court a throne, all my joys in you alone. Let me find a crown in you, let me find a sceptre too. Equal in the court or grove, I am blessed, do you but love.
Were I not with you to live, Bantam would no pleasure give. Happier in some forest I could upon that bosom lie. I would guard you from all harms, while you slept within my arms.
Would an Alexander rise, him I'd view with scornful eyes.
Would Helen with thy charms compare, her I'd think not half so fair. Dearest shall thou ever be.
Thou alone shalt reign in me.
I hope your majesty will pardon a poor ignorant constable. I did not know, your worship, I assure you.
Pardon you? Aye, more. You shall be chief constable of Bantam. You, Sir John, shall be chief justice of peace. You, sir, my orator. You, my poet laureate. you, my bookseller, you Don Tragedio, Sir Farcival, Signor Opera, and Count Ugly, shall entertain the city of Bantam with your performances. Mrs. Novel, you shall be a romance writer, and to show my generosity, Monsieur Marplay, you shall superintend my theatres, all proper servants for the King of Bantam.
I always thought he had something more than ordinary in him.
This gentlewoman is the Queen's mother.
For want of a better, gentleman.
Heir 25. O ponder well.
Alack, how altered is my fate! What changes have I seen! For I, who lodgings let of late, am now again a queen.
And I, who in this puppet show have played Punchinello, will now let all the audience know I am no common fellow. If His Majesty of Bantam will give me leave, I can make a discovery which will be to his satisfaction. You have chose for a wife Henrietta, Princess of old Brentford.
How?
When the King of old Brentford was expelled by the King of the New, the Queen flew away with her little daughter, then about 2 years old, and was never heard of since. But I sufficiently recollect the phiz of my mother, and thus I ask her blessing.
Oh, my son!
Oh, my brother!
Oh, my sister!
I am sorry in this pickle to remember who I am, but alas, too true is all you've said. Though I have been reduced to let lodgings, I was the Queen of Brentford, and this, though a player, is a king's son.
Enter Joan.
Then I am a king's daughter, for this gentleman is my husband.
My daughter.
My sister.
My wife.
Strike up kettle drums and trumpets. Punch, I will restore you into your kingdom at the expense of my own. I will send an express to Bantam for my army.
Brother, I thank you. And now, if you please, we will celebrate these happy discoveries with a dance.
A dance.
Taught by my fate, let never bard despair, though long he drudge and feed on Grub Street air, since him at last 'tis possible to see as happy and as great a king as me.
Epilogue. 4 poets sitting at a table.
Brethren, we are assembled here to write an epilogue, which must be spoke tonight.
Let the first lines be to the pit addressed.
If critics too were mentioned, it were best. With fulsome flattery let them be crammed, but if they damn the play,
let them be damned.
Supposing, therefore, brother, we should lay some very great encomiums on the play.
It cannot be amiss.
Now mount the boxes, abuse the bows, and compliment the doxies.
Abuse the bows! But how?
Oh, never mind. In every modern epilogue you'll find enough which we may borrow of that kind.
What will the name of imitation soften?
Oh, sir, you cannot say good things too often, and sure those thoughts which in another shine become not duller by becoming mine.
I'm satisfied.
The audience is already divided into critic, beau, and lady. Nor box, nor pit, nor gallery can show one who's not lady, critic, or a beau.
It must be very difficult to please fancies so odd, so opposite as these.
The task is not so difficult as put. There's one thing pleases all.
What is that?
Smut. For as a whore is liked, for being tawdry, so is an epilogue for
I order you on pain of my departure, not to chatter one word so very savoury of the creature. For by my pen might I Parnassus share, I'd not, to gain it all, offend the fair.
You are too nice. For say whate'er we can, their modesty is safe behind a fan.
Well, let us now begin.
But we omit Epilogue's chief decoration, wit.
It hath been so, but that stale custom's broken. Though dull to read, 'twill please you when 'tis spoken.
Enter the author.
Fie, gentlemen, the audience now hath stayed this half-hour for the epilogue.
'Tis not made.
How, then I value not your aid of that. I'll have the epilogue spoken by a cat. Puss, 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 puss.
Enter cat.
I'm in a rage. When cats come on, poets should leave the stage.
Exeunt poets.
Meow. Meow.
Poor puss, come hither, pretty rogue, who knows but you may come to be in vogue. Some ladies like a cat, and some a dog.
Enter a player.
Cats, 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 cats. Fie, Mr. Luckless, what can you be doing with that filthy cat?
Exit cat.
Oh, cursed misfortune! What can I be doing? This devil's coming in has proved my ruin. She's driven the cat and epilogue away.
Sure you are mad, and know not what you say.
Mad, you may call me, madam, but you'll own, I hope, I am not madder than the town.
A cat to speak an epilogue?
Speak? No, only to act the epilogue in dumb show.
Dumb show?
Why, pray, is that so strange in comedy? And have you not seen Perseus and Andromeda, where you may find strange incidents intended, and regular intrigues begun and ended, though not a word doth from an actor fall, and 'tis polite to speak in murmurs small. Sure, 'tis politer not to speak at all.
But who is this?
Enter cat as a woman.
I know her not.
I, that am now a woman, lately was a cat.
Turns to the audience.
Gallants, you seem to think this transformation as strange as was the rabbit's procreation, that 'tis as odd a cat should take the habit of breeding us, as we should breed a rabbit. I'll warrant eating one of them would be as easy to a beau as kissing me. I would not for the world that thing should catch us, cries scared Sir Plume. Forgad, my lord, she'd scratch us. Yet let not that deter you from your sport. You'll find my nails are pared exceeding short. But, ha! what murmurs through the benches roam? The husbands cry, we've cat enough at home. This transformation can be strange to no man. There's a great likeness twixt a cat and woman. Changed by her lover's earnest prayers, we're told, a cat was to a beauteous maid of old. Could modern husbands thus the gods prevail on, O Gemini, what wife would have no tail on? Puss would be seen where madam lately sat, and every lady townly be a cat. Say, all of you, whose honeymoon is over, what would you give such changes to discover? And waking in the morn, instead of bride, to find poor pussy purring by your side. Say, gentle husbands, which of you would curse and cry, my wife is altered for the worse? Should to our sex the gods like justice show, and at our prayers transform our husbands too, many a lord who now his fellow scorns would then exceed a cat by nothing but his horns. So plenty then would be those foes to rats, Henley my proof that all mankind are cats.
Venus. End of Act 3. End of the author's farce by Henry Fielding.